Welcome to All Is On Insights. Today we'll be going over CBDCs, essentially Fed coins. It'd be like the US currency, the British pound, being converted into digital currency. This is going on throughout all the world in almost every country. In addition to that, they have a master plan. They're working on it, they've been orchestrating it for years now. It's all coming to fruition. So if you'll join me to the end, you'll be able to see who the major players are and potentially the greatest investing opportunities of a lifetime. But that is for you to do your own research. If you stick all the way to the end, I have something that is amazing, something that has never been seen before anywhere else. So stick with me to the end because you might be able to find out the win. The backdrop. In order to understand the implementation of CBDCs from a worldwide plan, we should look at one country and see how they are doing it. For this example, we should look at England. Back in 2017, the Bank of England partnered with Ripple to produce a proof of concept for their digital currency and test it on its cross-border payments. This went very well, and in so doing, they created in July of 2021 the Digital Pound Foundation. The Digital Pound Foundation was established with 4 partners. One member from Ripple, Susan Friedman, one partner from Quant, the CEO and founder, Gilbert Veridian, another from Electrominium, Richard Ells, and then finally Jeremy Wilson, a man from Barclays, formerly from Barclays, who was advocating the need for banks to partner together as they implement blockchains into their transactions. So, as we look into the Digital Pound Foundation, we find that they have in their statement of guarantees all the aforementioned parties, except there is one additional one that stands out, and that is Billion Financial. Who is Billion Financial, you say? Well, we can find no information on them, probably because they're a shell organization owned by Billion Group. We find this in their financial statements. So if you go ahead and take a look into their financial statements, we see that they are wholly owned by Billion Group. So who is Billion Group? Well, according to Billion Group's website, they state their purpose is to build protocols to work within existing regulations to build national digital currencies. That's right, you heard it, within existing. That means they've already established within each respective country and are working together with these countries to implement these CBDCs without even the need of an additional legislation. So, let's go ahead and take a look at the actual plan and how these things will be rolled out. The plan. The plan that we've seen thus far is that CBDCs are being implemented by an organization called Billion Group. Billion Group is orchestrating this and purchasing shell organizations by in turn purchasing, in our example, which we looked into for England, Digital Pound Foundation. From there, we find 3 cryptocurrencies cooperating together. So what do we find for Billion Group as to their plan? Well, they lay it out for us. They lay out in their system how it works. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Within this section, how it works, we identify that they have 4 specific nodes that they look at. One dealing with cross-border payments, one dealing with a minting node, which actually produces the CBDC coin, and then another node that does and performs the peer-to-peer transactions. And finally, there is a node that addresses essentially a bank account or the bank's redemption node. From there, when we tie this all together, we know that XRP, or Ripple, is utilized and leveraged for cross-border payments and connecting CBDC coins to other CBDC coins. We also, if we look into Quant's website, we identify that one of their major purposes and solutions is for creating a minting node. And then in addition to that, as you look into Electrominium and you identify that they have apps designed for peer-to-peer transactions, we can clearly see This overlay that I'm showing you is that Ripple is used for bridging those CBDC coins together. Quant is actually the printing press by which the digital currency is being produced in for each respective national currency, and the peer-to-peer transactions among its citizens are to be used and leveraged through electrominium. So by now you're probably saying, really, can this all be, is this really just England that we're looking at? Well, let's take a look and to see if this is used elsewhere. Global rollout. As we've seen, billion groups' intended purpose is to roll out CBDCs to respective countries throughout the world. The question is this an anomaly or unique that we're finding in England? Or can we see the same pattern being implemented elsewhere? Or can we identify the same partners used to implement this strategy being used elsewhere in other countries? Well, if we go ahead and look at the CEO of Quant, Gilbert Veridian, we look at his LinkedIn page, at the same time that he was working with the Bank of England, he was also working with the Federal Reserve. As we see, he worked at the Federal Reserve with their Federal Payments Improvement Community. Now, who else worked with this Federal Improvements Committee? Well, Ripple was put on the steering committee for the faster payments of this, of which Gilbert had first-hand relationships with them in implementing such things. Additionally, and I won't bore you with this, but the Federal Payments Improvement Community has a YouTube channel with videos of Jerome Powell back in 2015 talking about how this community was set up and established for the purpose of rolling out CBDCs. Go ahead and check out that YouTube video, but I warn you, he's about as monotoned as I am and monochromatic in his presentations. So I won't bore you with it and putting it into this video, but you feel free to go ahead and take a look at it yourself. So as we can see, that in the US, the Federal Reserve System is actually partnering with the exact same people and rolling out the exact same thing. So Jerome Powell is going to have his new printing machine, again, through Quant, and then the cross-border payments through Ripple. So where does that leave us? Well, this brings us to asking two final questions. Which other countries have we not been able to identify some of these relationships? And when will we see these things in the countries that have been detailed in this video? So go ahead and let's see the next section, which I promised at the beginning, something that's never been before seen elsewhere, as to indicating when these things may happen. Never before seen. Throughout my research, I was actually able to identify the Digital Pound Foundation actually had a website registered to it. It was a Digital Pound Foundation. This website was not having any content displayed on the web server that it was associated with in its respective IP address. But I was checking it daily and found activity starting to occur. Now I didn't take all screenshots, but I did take one screenshot that happened to show a countdown clock, as seen here, showing that the Digital Pound Foundation website would be launched by September 20th around 3:30 a.m. Now, if you look at its website, it went through one additional change, as seen in here, and then a following change to where it is today. As I imagine, there's going to be continued changes throughout. Also, we identify on their Twitter account, which is found now on their website, that their purpose is to implement a CBDC coin. So, as you can see, the Digital Pound Foundation is essentially establishing a digital currency for the UK. In addition to that, we also identify the one cryptocurrency that many are not familiar with, Electrominium. Their CEO is actually speaking at the Blockchain Expo, and he is speaking with, Richard Ellis, is speaking, as you can see, with a member of the Bank of England. Again, another relationship that many people have not seen before. So tying this all together, when is this going to happen? Well, in my previous video talking about 589 Explained, the only means in which you can have XRP being enabled and set up throughout the global stage is through a liquidity crisis. We also identified in that video there being concerns with the LBMA, England's gold repository and exchange, as well as the US COMEX. So it's kind of interesting these two countries show up again. So if we look even further, I think that we're going to find a liquidity crisis happening before these currencies are established. This countdown on this website would seem to indicate that at least at a minimum, we're not going to see anything until September 20th. So it's a far cry, but it gives us a better indication as to when we can start to anticipate these things. Final thoughts. Special thanks to the XRP Army for producing a lot of research that went ahead and forged much of the path that I've overlaid. And so I wanted to give a special acknowledgement. This isn't all my own brainchild. This is a lot of research that has been already paved the way before me. Additionally, if you liked this video, go ahead and like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. And finally, if you are thinking about investing as a result of this, you need to understand I put this together for entertainment purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor, and if you do so, it's on your own prerogative at your own risk. Thank you.